The USS Enterprise, America's greatest aircraft carrier and the world's most powerful aircraft carrier with 70 fighter jets and nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, was heading towards the Indian Bay of Bengal. And behind it was the USS King with warships and fleet of destroyers were entering the Bay of Bengal. Cherry on cake, Britain's one of the most powerful HS Eagle aircraft carrier was heading towards the Arabian Sea. On the parallel side of this war history, Pakistan was attacking India from the west. This was the year 1971, December 10th. It is 3 o'clock AM. India was surrounded from all the three sides. India was left helpless. India then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi ji said and asked the world for help. And sadly, unfortunately, not even a single country responded. And then at the final last move of India, then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi ji made a call to Moscow, the capital of Russia, so-called USSR. And that time, Russia didn't step back. Russia said, we are ready. What Russia did next in the 48 hours was untold story in the textbooks. It explains why India and Russia has such a great friendship and why is the friendship mattering to the entire world. My dear friends, stay tuned in the video because we are going to uncover what is the friendship behind India and Russia. Is it just diplomatic friendship or profit friendship, or it is a defense friendship or a diplomatic relation? The question is, what are the friendship points that we need to take from the Indian-Russian friendship case study? Hello everybody, this is December 10th, 1971. The India was strangled with all of the superpowers of the world. India was left helpless. No one came to help India. But that time, Indira Gandhi ji, then Prime Minister of India, called Moscow. And Russia didn't step back. Russia didn't debate. Russia didn't back off. Russia said, we are activating the Pacific Fleet. Soviet Admiral Vladimir Kurgalakov moves nuclear-armed warships from Vladivostok at full speeds towards the Indian Ocean. You know what? How good is India's friendship with USSR or so-called Russia? Russia bought all the entire nuclear fleet, submarines and destroyers and war battlefield ships ready to defend India from the global supergiants. The British Admiral said something to the American commanders and even to the British commanders. Sir, we are too late. There are Russian atomic submarines here and a big collection of battleships. And you know what? What was the effect of this message? The British warships, the British entire navy fleet with aircraft carriers and navy was heading back towards Madagascar. They didn't enter Indian waters. And not just that, the world's powerful navy was American Navy, and American Navy stepped back and they started heading home. Why? Because only Russia stood back of India. Russia said, I am there for India, now touch India. 6 days later, on December 16th, 1971, Pakistan surrendered 93,000 troops. It was the largest surrender a country has ever done after the World War II. And the impact was such admirable and such impactful on the world that there was a new country which born, and it was named Bangladesh.
5 decades ago, on March 7th, 1971, the leader of the Awami League, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, gave the call for the independence of Bangladesh, then known as East Pakistan. The proclamation led to a brutal crackdown by the Pakistani army on the people of Bangladesh.
why did Russia help or the USSR help India? My dear friends, let's go back from 1971, 3 months ago, before the war. It is the day August 9th, 1971. Indira Gandhi ji had signed an agreement with the Soviet Union. It was a powerful agreement or a document between the great superpowers and greatest civilizations on the planet. It was between USSR and India. It was named Indo-Soviet Treaty of Peace, Friendship and Cooperation. It had one of the most strangled clauses, the most intricate clauses of the world. The clause stated, if India is attacked by any power in the world, it shall be treated as an attack on the Soviet Union itself. People, after this war, there was a break. Not a short break. It was a break of the Soviet Union, the greatest civilization on planet. The world thought that the ties between India and Russia will break because the Soviet Union broke and the rule of the friendship was broken. But after the war, after 50 years, the relations only deepened. 1962, the MIG deal. After China humiliated in 1962, the MIG deal was signed with Russia. 1971, the India's first spacecraft named Aryabhatta. The world didn't support. Why? Because this Aryabhatta was not launched from NASA. It was not launched by the European Union. It was not launched by the China. But it was launched by the great USSR, so-called Russia. You get it right? How deep were the ties of India and Russia? In 1984, Rakesh Sharma became the first Indian in space. Yes, Rakesh Sharma. He was aboard the Soyuz aircraft of Russia. And that time, the Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi ji, asked one question to Rakesh Sharma. The question was very simple, my dear friends.
ऊपर से भारत कैसा दिखता है आपको?
मैं बगैर किसी झिझक के कह सकता हूँ कि सारे जहां से अच्छा।
How did India look from the space? Rakesh Sharma replied, "Sare jahan se acha." In 1984, it was Russia that took Indian astronaut to the space and not any country. And that was the friendship India and Russia had. You know, my dear friends, in the Operation Sindoor 2025, India used so-called S-400 defense system. It was the most powerful defense system among the world. Let's take an example of BrahMos. BrahMos missile is manufactured by India with the Russian technology. And that is proudly a joint collaboration of India and Russia. My dear friends, every time India became close to Russia, there were enemies who tried to break the friendship. In 2022, the Ukraine-Russian war, the West and the UN sanctioned India for buying Russian oil. UN has already put sanctions on Russian oil and the world condemned that you should not buy Russian oil. But what was the reply from India? You know, my dear friends? People, India clearly replied that we are going to buy Russian oil and we are going to purchase Russian defense systems. My dear friends, to put that in a perspective, 60% of the Indian arms and Indian military is contributed from Russia. Yes, 60%. In this video, we are going to speak why is Russia so powerful and why is Russia supporting India so much and why has India been the greatest all-weather friend of Russia all time. My dear friends, India-Russian deal in 2021 gave a staggering $13 billion of trade. But after the war with Russia and Ukraine, many countries thought that it is the death of the deal between Russia and India, but it deepened. India-Russia trade deal in 2025 resulted in the $68 billion worth of trade, and it gave a clear reply to the world that India will never leave Russia, and India is the best friend and an all-weather friend for Russia. My dear friends, let's take an example which is way 1 month ago. Yes, When the Strait of Hormuz is closed by Iran, the country which helped India was Russia. Russia sent 2.7 billion barrels of crude to India, irrespective of the crisis which hit the whole world. America imposed 50% of tariff for buying Russian crude. India said, we are not going to stop. America even sanctioned the imports, stating that stop buying Russian crude, stop buying the arms from Russia, start buying from America. India said, we want America, we want Russia, we want both of them. We are not going to leave any country for another. And that was the reply given by the Indian government to the entire world. So India was clear. It didn't want to leave America, it didn't want to leave Russia. It wanted friendship ties with both of the greatest civilizations on the planet. My dear friends, the only country in the world is India. What is the only country? People, let me explain that clearly. It has ties with Russia, including the crude oil partnerships and defense partnerships. America is the biggest trade partner of India, so it has both ties with Russia and America. China, it imports a lot of technological parts and tech giant parts from China. The toys which are made in India, which are imported in India, are almost made in China, so it has ties with China too. The recent EU trade agreement, the European Union free trade agreement with India, has ties with European Union despite having the ties with Russia, and it has ties with South Korea, Japan for technologies, America for tech giants and technologies, and many others. America, Russia, EU, China, South Korea, Japan and all the countries, the greatest trade partnerships with India. The only country to have such great deepened partnership ties is India. Now you get it right why India is the greatest superpower among the world's economy. 3 lessons that you want to learn from this Indian-Russian friendship. Lesson number 1. Real friends show up when it's dangerous. My dear friends, let's go back to the year 1971. If USSR, so-called Russia, didn't support India in that tough times, maybe today there would be no country named India. And my dear friends, this, when we relate it to our personal life, our business life, a friendship is a friendship when they support you and stay with you in the hard times. And you should have friends who stay in the hard times of you, in the hardships of you. Lesson number 2. Interest over ideology always wins. India refused to condemn Russia to buy the defense technologies, to buy the crude. UN sanctioned India, UN sanctioned Russia, but India didn't back off. India said, Russia is all-weathered friend of India. We are not going to back off. That gave a clear statement that India is never going to leave Russia and India will remain the greatest global partner of Russia. Lesson number 3. India's superpower is not its army, its options. As I said, Russia is for weapons, America for technology, Gulf for oil, China for trade, Europe for investment. India is the only major developing country in the world which has trade partnerships with all of these nations. You know what? America is the greatest rival for Russia. China is the greatest rival for EU. Despite India has ties with all of these 4 countries. And that is the strategic partnership which India maintains. My dear friends, geopolitics doesn't have deepened friendships. It has friendships which stay forever. India has them. And I would love to have that to you people. Because when you have friendships with everyone, irrespective of enemy, irrespective of friends, irrespective of best friends, if you have them, you are going to definitely succeed in your life, my dear friends. And have friendships. Comment down which lesson hit you the hardest, because this will impact me too. And it will motivate me to make more such videos. And like this video, share it to all of your friends so that they become your friends. And they say that he is my friend. So share it with them and subscribe, because subscription is easy for you. It is just one tap away. But it is a lot to me, my dear friends. So just subscribe and hit the bell icon. It makes me happy. That's it from my side for today, guys. Meet you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.